I kind of think of Shelley as like the Justice League. Everyone talks about, Brindley Cannon, but they're kind of like the Justice League. They just have a nice set of characters that back them up.
When it comes to high school sports, East Idaho never gets its due.
I ran into Jeremy Hess, the AD of Grace Lutheran, and, he was just excited. And then, I'm just talking to him and he goes, we have 7 girls. So just amazing.
But the East Idaho Prepcast has changed that, covering the biggest sports stories from Salmon all the way down to Bear Lake.
And again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They don't have social media, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
It's the East Idaho Prepcast with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of East Idaho High School athletics, the best region in Idaho, but don't tell the other regions that. I am Joel Richardson. Let's bring in our East Idaho expert and insider, Sean Kane. His heart was 2 sizes too small. How's it going, Sean?
It's good. Everyone, watches the show and it's like, where do you broadcast from? It's always black in the background, and I'm just in my basement with the Christmas trees back there, so I brought a little Christmas spirit into the show leading up to Christmas,
I love it. It's our third and final holiday edition. We've done 3 holiday editions, and this is the final one. After this show, we'll be out for a couple weeks, taking a much needed vacation, and then we'll get right back to it that second week of January. But Sean, let's get right into our show. Of course, every week we do an athlete of the week, team of the week, and then we break down the biggest stories from Districts 5 and 6. Let's go right into our athlete of the week from East Idaho, Sean. It's got to be Shay Shippen from Skyline, eclipsing 2,000 and counting now high school points in her entire career. An amazing accomplishment, Sean.
Yeah, just, it's not everyone gets to that point, right? It's a very low amount of people. And like we found out there's 4, there's 4 in Idaho that have accomplished that. So what a great accomplishment. What a great thing, because, to get to 2,000 points, it takes a good team. And I think that's the big thing we're probably going to hear overall is how a team helps you get to that, how it's such an individual accomplishment, right? She's got to put the points in there, but what a nice job Skyline has done to provide her the vessel to score 2,000 points and counting, right? But yeah, congratulations to her. Just amazing, basically averaging a double a night right now, in a very, very tough District 6 5A conference, which we all believe is going to be just a battle. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, definitely. And to talk about and celebrate Shay Shippen, Sean, again, this is our 3rd holiday episode. Every holiday episode, we've had a guest to kind of, ring in the holiday season and ring in the new year. And this, our 3rd and final holiday episode, we have a special guest, Shay Shippen's coach, everyone, Ty Keck, the Skyline girls high school basketball coach. Let's bring him in now. Ty Keck, he's on the road doing some Christmas shopping and feeling that holiday cheer. What's up, Coach?
How are you guys? And just so everybody knows, I'm not driving. I am in the passenger seat. So this is a safe episode.
A safe holiday episode, right on. And Coach, you're also on your way to a basketball game, are you not?
Yeah, we had an off night for us, so it gives us the opportunity to go scout. So we're headed to watch Bonneville and Hillcrest play over at Hillcrest.
Perfect. And we'll talk about those teams a little bit, but as Sean said, what a tough district you guys have. And man, what a great blessing to have a player like Shay Shippen to play not only on your team, but in that district and in the state. You guys have had great success. Talk about Shay and how she's been part of that success the last few years.
Oh, I mean, I don't think that you can really talk about Skyline girls basketball without Shay. I mean, obviously because she's still here, but I don't think that it'll take a long time before people don't remember that name, just because she's been so impactful both on and off the court. Not only is she an amazing player, she's an amazing student. And just an amazing personality. Like, she is one of my all-time favorite human beings that I've had the pleasure of interacting with as a coach and as a person.
Yeah, definitely. And a good tennis player. I'm a little disappointed you didn't throw that in there.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, Coach, I've talked to you before, and sometimes we've talked and it's been kind of disappointment with joy with injuries in the past and different things. So it's really exciting to bring you in tonight for just pure joy, like something positive, right? We have no negative thing to shoot out about it right now. No injuries, no nothing. Team's playing great. So just congratulations on that. And so I'm glad we're here in a more positive environment tonight.
Yes, absolutely. It's good. It's good.
Coach, tell us, I was doing some stats and I know we want to talk about the team, but really fast, just what a little more plug for Shay and this amazing career she's had. I just did a little bit of math, and my math may not be perfect, but if she played in all 92 varsity games up till her latest game that you guys had a few days ago, if she played in all 92 varsity games the last 4 years, she would have had to average almost 22 points a game to hit that 2,000 plus points. That's incredible. Talk about, you mentioned the team and Shay, she's such a great athlete and good person off the court, but what has the team done around her to allow her, Sean said in our intro, given her the vessel to accomplish such a great feat that only 4 people have accomplished. Tell us about the team and what you guys have done to help Shay and then obviously help you guys make that point mark and then do so well in districts and at state.
Yeah, no, Gal, that's a great question. I think the first thing I would say this, Shay is one of the hardest working athletes that I've ever met. And I have had the experience of working with some pretty top talent in my almost 20 years coaching now. The kid doesn't not know where the gym's at anywhere she goes. She's always in the gym. She always finds time. That being said, I do believe that it's been a very, very good symbiotic relationship that we have built in Skyline. And a big part of that is her too, buying into the culture that we created, where it's like we obviously love players of her caliber, but we have this conversation with our kids every year. It's never about that player. Like, we love having that player, but I'm never going to design the entirety of my game plan based on that player. In fact, like, one of the things that I tell my parents all the time, I'm like, I plan my season every year as if my worst player is going to get injured. So, to throw out another name, when you do lose a Maddie Olson and you have a young freshman like Shay step up and, she's able to be in a spot where she can score nearly 20 points a game as a freshman because of the culture and the belief that all of our players have that it's a team first mentality. And it doesn't matter who you are, if you're, a Division I athlete or a kid that's just here for the pure love of being part of a basketball team. And that's really been how we've tried to establish this culture, that it's not about any one person, but it's about all of us, and we just do our jobs.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good lead into what I was thinking. I had the privilege to be on the call for the semifinal game last year against Pocatello Thunder, which was an instant classic. Probably not for you, but for the fans. And it was a great game, and it just came down to just kind of a few things. And what I saw is that culture and the team knowing what to do. And I didn't see a game plan designed, for Shay, or anyone to score the majority of baskets. It was mostly a team effort. So I thought that was very interesting that you kind of brought up the same thing I was thinking, because I'm just keep thinking about that semifinal game talking to you. It was a good one. And probably, lost some weight during it, but, and so that just kind of leads me to my next question is, how do you get back there? It's you've reached state title second time in 3 years. We've got a District 6 that, there's no off night. And what's it going to take to get back, at least to state? I think that's probably your first and foremost goal is, get through that district tournament. But, do you have what it takes to get, back into that state championship again and then maybe win it this time, right?
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic question. I think the hardest part about that is, like, obviously you hope that every year you're in a spot to get there. And I believe that, and I've said this to a few people, that, like, as long as we have Shay, we're going to be extremely competitive. But, like, Shay's not just going to win us a state championship. We've got to have other players around them. And we obviously lost some great players last year, some very good seniors that knew how to play the game. And we had a young team coming in. And, we're just past halfway point in our season right now. And I'm starting to see that development starting to rise to the top, and our players are starting to play together, and they're starting to click the way that you hope they do about this point in the season. But in order for us to get there, like it's what you said, there's no off nights. We do have a tough conference. We do have, I think that's the most important part, and we can't get too happy about going to state or moving to state, like onto that until we get out of our district, because we've seen it many times. We were part of it a couple of years ago that, it doesn't matter how good you are, this district can upset you if you take it too lightly. And props to all the good coaches and players that come through this area, because it just seems like every year when you feel like, oh, sweet, there's a down year, more teams step up and you're just like, oh, well, never mind. It's a dogfight again. Here we go. And that's exactly what it looks like it's shaping up to be this year.
Coach, you kind of referenced this. We've talked a little bit why so many championships come through East Idaho when a place like the Boise area has so many more players and maybe opportunities. You mentioned the coaching, right? In District 6. Is there anything else that, the coaching, the program, the buy-in from the parents that you see why East Idaho, District 6, District 5 does so well in a year in, year out basis, in those state tournaments? Is it that buy-in, that great coaching, not only from you, but from the other coaches throughout District 5 and 6?
I think that's a big part of it. Like, we do have a lot of support over here. I mean, you can see it every year we go to the state tournament. Like, we have a great following for, those games. Fans come from all over the place. Like, I can never take away how amazing our fans are, how amazing our parents are. I would say, though, I think part of it too, and I do feel like sometimes we get the benefit over here just because we do have such depth of teams in this, especially in the 5A. Like, we have to battle test ourselves all season long. Like, I know there's other conferences that, there might be one or two tough games where, you got to get through those ones. And that's pretty much the matchup that's going to be in the district championship. But like here, I would look at our team that's on the bottom of our standings, and I never go, well, there's just an easy win, because they never are, and they never have been. So I think sometimes by the time we get over to state, the competition that we played game in, game out, and that, kind of, you said it, that we don't really get nights off, has to keep us in that mentality of, we got to be ready all the time. And I think that's so important. And that's why I think you see so many teams come over here. And again, just to reiterate it, I really do think that there's some excellent coaches over on this side of the state doing some great things with their programs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and just talking about that, so the East Idaho shootout coming up in a couple weeks, right? And you'll play a Utah team. Do you know anything about that team you're going in playing? Because I know I don't. So it'd be a good preview for some of the fans coming up, how that game's looking out. Because there's some good teams in this bracket that hopefully you get a chance to play some of them, right? Like the top 5A teams, I think, are there. Between maybe a Middleton or a Pocatello Thunder. And yeah, so hopefully you get an opportunity to get a shot at some of those teams.
Yeah, so our first team is Uinta out of Vernal, Utah, and I've started watching a couple game films that I've picked up on them, and they've got a really good big girl, that's a junior that's playing really well so far this season, and then they've got a couple really nice guards. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that matchup is, because obviously we're not a super tall team this year. Like that is one of the things that we have to game plan very strategically defensively around, is, how to negate some size. Luckily we have speed, so that does help. But yeah, that tournament this year, like, Shay Shippen's the one that's in charge of it. I don't know if he wants me to, publicize him, but he has done such an amazing job. Like, there's over 100 teams total in this tournament. And then from the girls, like, we have three like top teams from outside of Idaho. So there's like two teams from Colorado that are, like, just top of their class. I think we've got a couple teams from Utah. Like, it's an amazing competition, and we do have a pretty fun matchup. Like, we're going to play Uinta. Depending on how that one goes, we're probably going to match up with Middleton or Meade, Colorado, who are both playing obviously really good basketball right now.
Yeah, well, I'll shout out Shay Shippen. He's the best bracket maker I still use some of his brackets for my tennis stuff. Like I want him to come back and make brackets for me. Like that Rigby gig, come back, just make brackets for everyone.
Maybe he can fix some of our,
Shay's
playoff.
dad, by the way.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he can fix some of our playoff brackets. You know what I mean? Ty, hey, we really appreciate you coming on. One last question, then we'll get you out of here. We've talked about Shay and her 2,000 point, eclipsing that mark, and only 4 players. She's now, I guess, 3 of 4 players who've done that from the state of Idaho. Do you want to shout out any other player, or maybe, a coach or a manager that maybe doesn't get, the love that obviously Shay Shippen does, but man, comes to practice every day and really is one of those X factors that may be under the radar, but really provides, that glue or that culture for your team to be doing so well year in and year out?
Yeah. There's a lot of players that have come and gone, but I will say, I think probably the biggest part of the glue to our team is first off, I have a completely amazing coaching staff from top to bottom right now. I love where it's at. But my 2 varsity assistant coaches that come in and put their time in with me and have put countless hours in, Kelsey Bischoff and Kaylin Keck, my little brother, we are cool. Best friends, worst enemies, but always for the right reasons. And it's been so much fun working with them. And they honestly, we cover each other and build off of each other really well. And without them, I don't know that we're where we're at.
Right on. Again, good coaches, right? Good coaches making the difference, man. Yeah. Ty, really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck in the East Idaho shootout. Best of luck the rest of the way. You mentioned you guys are hitting your stride. Yep. I noticed you guys started 7-5 and now you're 4-0 in conference. We won't talk about it, but I feel like you guys front loaded your schedule with some difficult teams.
Sure did.
You did that. Okay, good. And now iron sharpens iron, and that District 6 is going to be really good. But I wouldn't be surprised to see you guys come out on top. But best of luck the rest of the way. Enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those things. And thank you so much for coming on,
Coach.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you guys, and happy holidays to you guys as well. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye.
Coach Keck. Hey, Sean, really fast. Sam Buffington coming in saying, go Grizz. And then our North Idaho friend also saying, go Shay. Sorry, he's biased a little. So Sam Buffington providing one last shout out for Shay Shippen and her excellent work on and off the court. And then those Skyline Grizzlies, Sean, year in and year out, they're tough. Hopefully, the injury bug stays away and they can have another strong year.
Yeah, it's man, it's hard to pick your horse right now in that District 6 race.
Totally.
I think he mentions we're about halfway through the girls season, but the second half of this girls season is going to be so important for the District 6 teams, and it's going to be a battle. And hey, let's look, Skyline figures out a way to make it. That's what they've done. Yeah. Coach Keck, a Shippen, and a cast of players. So, good luck to them. Another team that comes to mind that he's going to go watch tonight. And I'm sure he's going to watch Bonneville and Hillcrest. Hillcrest Definitely. Is a team that's really strong right now. I've seen Bonneville. Bonneville has about a 6'3" girl, who definitely has that height, that could cause problems in what you do. So, good luck to them in the season, but congrats to Shay Shippen on that 2,000 points. An easy player of the week.
Right. For sure. And I love, Sean, that you mentioned earlier on in our Prepcast that Shay's getting a double-double right now in rebounds. And that shows you, right, when these players are getting those 20s, 30s in terms of points, but also getting the rebounds, that's super, super impressive. Hey, Sean, we have a sponsor for this show. It's Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. Ideal is a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and the most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsaves.org. That's idsaves.org. Really appreciate Ideal, Idaho's college savings program, sponsoring this East Idaho Prepcast. Yeah. Sean, let's go into our team of the week. We got our player of the week, Shay Shippen, 2,000 high school career points and counting. Team of the week, though, goes to the boys, the Preston boys out of Preston, Idaho. Head coach Tyler Jones continuing to do work down there in in Southeast Idaho. They're 6-0, number one in both the coaches and media polls, Sean.
Yeah, they're number one in the polls, but I think, like, me personally, I feel like it's just like kind of very quiet.
Yes.
A quiet 6-0. And not only is it 6-0, I mean, they're averaging 64 points a game, giving up 40. That's a 24-point differential through 6 games. Yeah, it's early, right? But this team is legit. They are playing really well. They've got 3 seniors, 5 juniors. These juniors played heavy minutes last year. You knew coming back they're going to be something special. And Ty Jones is just a phenomenal coach. He just knows how to run a culture and program. They have 5 or 10 guys that are 6'3", all can run, dribble, dunk, shoot threes. And like Jake Schumann has been playing phenomenal. He's a big, tall guy, but bring the ball up. Preston lost some people, but we cannot forget them right now. They're playing in their own tournament. Probably in the next 5 minutes or so, they'll be tipping off. So catch them playing, and maybe they win their own tournament. But like I said, looking at their schedule, I don't see them losing many games, going forward. Sorry, Pocatello, sorry, Century. But man, this team's legit right now, and it's been fun to see what they're doing so far.
Well, I was looking at schedules after looking at Skyline's schedule, right? And then I was looking at Preston's schedule. I thought the same thing, Sean. I don't see a lot of losses there for Preston when they have 3 seniors, 5 juniors, 1 sophomore who happens to be their starting quarterback, Carter Perry. And your shortest players are 2 6-footers, tallest players are 2 6-6ers. You're going to win games. You're going to win a lot of games. Sean, we were watching some film, and they alley-oop. They got 3-point shooting, and they're active hands on deep. Really, the film we've watched, they are a complete team. I'm gonna be looking for someone to give them a loss or two that might be good for Preston. But man, Preston playing really well and about to play in about, like you said, 4 minutes in their own conference or in their own tournament. Anything else about Preston, Sean, you want to mention?
No, they're playing really well. They've beaten teams pretty soundly. Their closest game was against Twin Falls early in the season. Twin Falls, a team that I think is lingering in there, but that was a 58-47 win. But then pretty much 20-point wins from then on against some pretty good teams. So Preston, definitely boys basketball right now, team of the week. Hopefully when we come back in a few weeks, maybe they're still undefeated. Who knows? But doing a good job right now.
Definitely. Let's get into our the biggest games of the week for girls basketball. Then we'll do some biggest games from boys basketball, and then we'll talk about the upcoming East Idaho shootout and our next Prepcast. Sean, big games for girls. Let's do this, Sean. Why don't you choose one and I'll choose one, and we'll talk about both those games, and so we can keep everyone, get everyone back to their Christmas present wrapping or their holiday wrapping, whatever that is. So, Sean, give me your top game from this week that you saw and some of your thoughts on it.
What I thought was really interesting is Thunder Ridge beat Madison girls basketball this week. First-year coach for Thunder Ridge, Chelsea Boyle, and the Titans were down 10, and they rallied to win over a highly ranked, whatever poll you look at, Madison team. And Thunder Ridge, kind of the forgotten child of that district up there, that District 5-6-6A, where they were kind of dominant. Then you kind of had really good Rigby team last year, and then Thunder Ridge was there kind of the years before, and now Thunder Ridge is saying, hey, don't forget about us. We're still here.
Totally. Love it. And like you said, Chelsea Boyle doing a good job with Thunder Ridge. And unfortunately, Thunder Ridge, they play in such a tough conference. But getting that win over Madison, 51-46, big deal. Sean, I'm not going to go with a game necessarily, but man, that Mountain Rivers Conference, as we said at the start of the girls basketball season, was going to be tough. Sure enough, both Sugar Salem, Teton, and South Fremont are all undefeated. Sugar 8-0, Teton 8-0, and South Fremont 7-0. The other night, Sugar beating Blackfoot 53-36. And we had, Blackfoot's head coach, Coach Odom, on our show, and we've all been high on Blackfoot. Sugar, though, is really good when you beat a good team like Blackfoot. So I got to shout out that Mountain Rivers Conference. What a start for that trio of teams.
Yeah, not one team has lost the game. I was just double checking. I think that most of them don't play again until maybe this weekend. So that is going to be quite the battle. And like we said, we're the second half of the season. But South Fremont, man, they're really, they beat Twin Falls, a 5A team, 47-39 last Saturday, and they play West J. They'll go to play Ryrie. But it'll be really interesting when we get later on in the schedule when those three teams are playing, because I don't see a lot, maybe too many losses that any of them could occur until they start playing each other. And man, what a district tournament that will be if it continues on this pace.
Yeah, definitely. And, I sold Sugar short a little bit, Sean. They actually beat Shelley the other night, 58-33, and they beat Blackfoot 53-36, which brings them a total to 9-0. So Sugar is 9-0. Teton 8-0, South Fremont 7-0 still. So yeah, can't wait for that district tournament, right? Sometimes that district tournament is not as like, I think it was soccer. It was kind of, there was really one top team for girls soccer. Boys soccer, just something else happened, which was terrible, absolutely terrible. We won't talk about it. Again, we need Shippen's dad to come and do that tournament.
Do the bracket,
exactly. But anyway, this tournament is going to be phenomenal. All right, Sean, big games for boys. Which game was most of interest to you this past week?
Man, there's a lot of good games, but let's be honest. I was at this game last night, so I'm going to go with Century versus Highland boys basketball. It was the most electric atmosphere I'd been to all year for a game. It was both schools turned up. It was at Century High School, and it was just the atmosphere alone was fun. And then it ends up just being an absolute defensive battle, right? Century goes on to win 39-36. Century's had a rough few years, boys basketball. We've had Ryan Frost, Coach Frost, on here talking, and they've improved. They're off to their best start in, I think, 4 years. And yeah, it was a really good game. Highland played really tough. They have some fun players to watch. Markel Bowens, the defensive end from the football team. He's a dynamic, huge, big guy. He is bigger than I thought. Keaton Belknap, the quarterback, he starts for him too. Trayson Triple. But man, it was a good game. Highland got off to a hot, kind of a little better start, but Century just slowly worked the way back in, played good team ball, and got a big city rivalry. I mean, the game doesn't really matter too much, but I just kind of want to talk about Highland. They've got a big schedule. They had a big schedule this week. They're playing, they played Century. They're playing Pocatello tomorrow. The Highland scheduled themselves a rough week before Christmas. I feel like, those in district or in city games can be kind of, they can just be a lot, right? They can just, whether or not you're good or not, it doesn't really matter. And then last Friday, they played Rigby. So it's Rigby, Century, Pocatello. I mean, that's like a gauntlet of East Idaho boys basketball teams. And Highland just, lost to Rigby 45-52, which I think Rigby's good too. But Highland, a young team with a little bit of depth, and they'll be good. But, congrats to Coach Frost for getting a win over Highland. And it was a really cool moment. I had to say too, is, Highland School had burnt down last year, right?
Right.
And so Century invited the Highland and cheerleaders to perform at halftime. So they got an opportunity to perform and at a game because they have that small gym they're using right now. So that was a really cool moment for Century to invite, welcoming Highlands cheerleaders in to perform at halftime as well. And I thought that was pretty cool. A good show of sportsmanship from both schools.
Love it. That's what it's all about, right? Giving everyone an opportunity to demonstrate their abilities and I love that. Good call. I believe in Coach Stuckey. Just got to, make sure Highland gets their love. It's almost like they did a little bit of what the Skyline girls basketball team did, scheduling tough teams early on, which helps them get in the groove, iron out their kinks before they get into that district play. And they're still 3-2, Sean, despite losing to Century and Preston. And they were in the Century game, like you just mentioned, but they were in that Preston game as well. And so I I think that's smart. It's a gauntlet, but you schedule hard teams early on, and we noticed this in football as well. Rigby did this against Coeur d'Alene, Hillcrest as well, where they schedule these tough teams, but then they kind of figure their game out as they schedule those tough teams. So when push comes to shove in that district or state play, they're hitting their stride just in time. And so I'll be curious to see if Matt Stuckey can do what he does. And like we've mentioned, bring those C players, those young players, to maybe a B, or those Bs to an A, and continue to develop as these East Idaho coaches tend to do. So I'll be watching Highland for sure.
Yeah. And I believe Matt Stuckey is a 2,000 or 1,000 point scorer for Century at his time there at Century.
Nice.
So I can't remember what it is, but he scored a lot of points.
Yeah.
And obviously he was a great player, played for ISU, great coach. He does a phenomenal job with the Rams, but just kind of bring that all together. He put up a few buckets in that Century gym, and very well coached team.
Probably also was averaging double doubles too. Probably.
Oh yeah. He's a tall fella.
The game, Sean, I want to talk about, you and I talked about this a little bit. We were watching some film on this game. Madison just drubbing Pocatello, the Pocatello Thunder, 75-34. Madison never, Pokey never led, right? Madison never gave up their lead. They won. They were up 3-0. They hit a 3-pointer to start the game. And Nash, 31 points, he was double teamed the entire night. I watched a few quarters, and every time Nash had the ball, he was double teamed every time. So that was clearly Pocatello's defensive scheme, was to make sure Nash didn't do his thing. Well, he still did. 31 points despite the double team. But Sean, like you said, he only played 2.5 quarters of action. And they pulled and they rested him. And here's Madison. They're now at 6-1 and just playing phenomenal ball, as you and I discussed might happen this season for Madison.
Yeah, I think for Madison, it's really come together. They only have one loss at the Pro Image against Coeur d'Alene, kind of the battling for their spot. You kind of have a Waihe up here. You got Madison, Coeur d'Alene. And it was a close game, 56-62. I mean, but I think as Madison goes on and keeps playing, they're just going to get better. And I think that's what was on display against the Thunder, is when they're comfortable and they're just playing how they want to play, with Nash kind of running the game, drawing some double teams and getting open guys, because everyone on that team, I think at some point makes an open shot. They get an open look, they make a shot, and this did a really good job. And I think Madison has the capability to go out and do this to good teams. But when they have to play harder teams, we'll have to see, but definitely playing very, very well. And for the Thunder, that's tough. They're going to play the, Highland Friday. How do you respond from that? Right. I think that's what you got to look at. How does Highland respond? Both teams coming off a loss. Highland a loss to Century, Pocatello lost to Madison. None of those games really matter in the big reality of things.
Right.
And neither does really Pokey Highland matter in a big reality of things. I mean, a little bit maybe in Max Preps if it works. I don't know. I'm not here to judge that on Christmas.
Other show.
But City
no
Pride.
Scrooge is here.
City Pride. Highland. Beat Pocatello in football, and it was a pretty close game for a while. And a lot of these, it's mostly the same people playing. Right. You've got Hunter Mays, the quarterback. You got Hunter Cordell in there. You got Keaton Belknap, you've got Tavin Williams. You've got relatively the same star power on the Harwood. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely. But I've been really impressed with Nash Humphreys, man, doing solid work for Madison. And I think he also eclipsed 1,000, 2,000 points.
Yeah, we talked about it on the other show. Yeah,
that's right. Last week. It's like we talked about that already. So yeah, congrats to Madison. We'll see how Pocatello and Highland respond to their losses. Pokey, Sean, they only scored 3 points in that third quarter. They're going to need to shore that up and do a little better, get into the bucket in that third when they play Highland in their next game. Sean, those are big games from boys and girls basketball. What's coming up? We got the 2025 East Idaho Shootout. It's going to be January 2nd to the 4th. Huge opportunity for big teams to come out here to East Idaho And we've talked about it all show. Maybe this should have been the name of the show, Iron Sharpening Iron, big programs going up against each other and seeing how they stack up. Because a lot of these programs, they won't see each other, Sean, until hopefully the state tournament. Let's talk about this this shootout. This is one of the bigger ones coming up. 52 programs, 180 games, and some great brackets. I'm going to see if I can pull them up while you give us a little intro, Sean.
Yeah, I've been able to cover this tournament a couple of years, and it's always great. It's always a good preview. I think back to last year in the Pocatello Thunder girls beat Sandpoint pretty badly, the defending champs, and then Sandpoint didn't even make the state to defend their championship. But when I look at the girls bracket, I'm really interested in seeing, Middleton and maybe the Pocatello Thunder meeting up. You also have Madison's there, Rigby, and then you've got the Meade Mavericks from Colorado. You got a couple other teams from Colorado, Westlake Thunder from Utah, and then a very Will Love, the Sandpoint head coach, even talked to me about this. He had circled it on his schedule early. Is Sandpoint plays Shelley first round of that tournament. So Sandpoint Shelley will be a great game, and then we already talked about Skyline playing, and then you've also got Idaho Falls and Hillcrest, Highland Rams. You got Century, Teton, Snake River, Bonneville, South Fremont, which I'm very excited to see what South Fremont can do, as they're off to a 7-0 start right down there in that bottom bracket, and these all play into each other and stuff. So if you're watching this at home, you're going to want to make your screen big.
Yeah, so hopefully you can see this. Make your screen nice and big, and you can catch these brackets. So I love how they have an armed forces brackets, right? So you got the Army bracket, big games for Rigby, Pokey, like you already mentioned, Sean, Madison, San Pedro coming from California. I want to say, if that's San Pedro, I wonder if that's out of Long Beach, but yeah, Rigby, Pocatello, Madison, all playing in that Army bracket. And then down below, you got the Navy bracket, Sean, Thunder Ridge, Highland playing in there against Centennial, Boise Brave.
And good Boise team.
Yes.
100%. We're in boys. We're in boys, right?
Yeah, boys. Okay. Yep, this is boys. Yep. And then the Air Force bracket for the boys, Sugar is playing Ogden, Skyline plays Burley, Shelley, Jackson Hole, Century, Lakeland. That's going to be a fun bracket to watch, especially how does Sugar Salem stack up against Century? I'm curious about that one. And then the Marines bracket, you got Bonneville, Snake River, Teton, Idaho Falls, all in that one as well. So yeah, some great brackets set up by Mr. Shippen. And you got the consolation bracket at the bottom for the boys. You already mentioned some of those games, Sean. Any others in particular? Any of those brackets really stick out to you?
Yeah, I was talking about the girls.
Okay, sorry.
And you brought up the boys, and so the girls.
We'll go over the girls really fast.
The girls one just seems really interesting to me because I just think for girls wise, we have a lot of good potential in these teams, and that Middleton team, right? They've moved down a division. How are they going to end up? Can a Madison or a Thunder, one of these teams, a Rigby, will they end up playing a Middleton so we can get a kind of a reading on that team? That's what I love about this tournament is hopefully you're going to get some matchups that you wanted to see, and it'll be really fun. So that Navy bracket is just dynamite. I think it'll be definitely worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see Pocatello play Middleton. Down below, Shelley, Skyline. We already mentioned, we already talked to Ty Keck about Skyline playing Uinta, the Uinta Utes, and then Shelley playing Sandpoint Bulldogs. That'll be interesting to see how this East Idaho team matches up with the North Idaho team as strong as Sandpoint usually is. And then down here in the Army bracket, Idaho Falls, Hillcrest, and Highland all playing that bracket with the Evanston Devils out of Wyoming. Air Force, you got the Century Girls, Teton, Snake River, Bonneville, South Fremont, almost an all East Idaho bracket, Sean, except for Jackson Hole, Bronx out of Wyoming. And then let's go back to the boys bracket, Sean. Any of these stick out to you? I know one for me does, but what do you got?
Well, I mean, I definitely I'm excited to see where Madison ends up on this after we just talked about them playing 100%. Really well right now. A potential matchup against Pocatello again. The Thunder are playing the Thunder, Westlake Thunder versus Pocatello Thunder.
Yeah.
And and another team that's very intriguing is Ridgeview, the Warhawks. They've moved up a division. They've got some really good players. They're playing really good right now. So that will be very interesting to see where they fall. And they're a team coming down to this that is very intriguing.
And I can't wait to see how those play out. And we'll stop showing that for now. That's what's coming. That's really the big tournament. Sean, I'm going to be out of town. I won't be able to broadcast those games. Hopefully you can hold down the fort for us, though, here in East Idaho, man.
Unfortunately not. I will be out of town as well.
Okay. All right. Well, someone else then.
They must ask me after you, like
no way.
We'll go to the bottom here. And I've already got plans to be I'll be in Florida during that tournament.
Ooh, so dude, okay.
Yeah, right. I will not be in Idaho. Hopefully it's like warm and I come back sunburnt.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, the East Idaho Shootout is planning on being on IdahoSports.com those Friday, if not Friday, Saturday games for sure. And we'll get those broadcasts to you all live and free. Sean, next Prepcast is going to be January 8th. You're going to be in Florida. I'm going to be here and then in California, getting some rays, hopefully getting some surf. It's supposed to be huge, by the way. And because I don't surf as much as I used to, I'm not very good in the bigger waves, but it's going to be big. Hawaii right now is going off apparently. But that's beside the point. January 8th will be our next Prepcast. Folks, if you want some good vibes for your team, let me tell you, you got to get your coach, players, parents, assistant coaches, anyone from your team to be on our Prepcast. And here's why. Sean, I did some digging. I did some research, okay? Right. This is a little holiday magic for you. Every time a head coach has come on our show, after they've been on our show, good things have happened. So Blackfoot, after Ramey Odom was on the show 2 weeks ago, Blackfoot turned around and beat Bonneville 66-38. And then Century, Ryan Frost, we already talked about him, after being on our show, defeated Bonneville 65-54. And then, a little cherry on top, a little mistletoe, a little star on the tree, Century beat Highland. I don't know, Sean. It tells me that if you come on the show, good things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens to Skyline. They don't play until the January 2nd, so they've got a long break. They'll still practice, and Coach Keck will have them going. But yeah, we'll have to see. It's definitely a good vibe. You come on, it's almost like a guaranteed win. Talking to me and Joel, I don't know what else to say, but yeah, it's been good. It's been great having some coaches come on and talk about the different teams in East Idaho, because they're I'm not the expert. They're the real experts. I'm just the guy who announces things and can talk loud.
Well, and I love having them on. They give us a little insight into their teams, and like you say, they are truly the experts. Sean, don't sell yourself short. You're also a coach, man. So you're in. But no, it's really fun having them on. So those of you listening out there, if you want to get on the show, your coach, your team, player, we'd love to have multiple players at the same time, and your coach. And heck, we'll have your parents on as well. Let's bring on the whole crew. But definitely reach out to us. I'm at E1 Educador on X/Twitter. Sean is usually on S-Kane, right? Sean S-Kane 182, right?
Yeah.
182, yeah. S-Kane 182. Hit us up on X. We're on there usually having some conversation about brackets or football or hoops. But yeah, reach out and we'd love to have you or anyone that you want to sponsor on the show. And we'll talk to you and ask you some really great questions, and we'll get you some good vibes for your upcoming games. Sean, I want to shout out our sponsor one more time, Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. Ideal is a state-sponsored tax-advantaged savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. That's the show, Sean. It's been a great first year. Let's keep it going, man.
Yeah, just finishing up our first calendar year together on the Prepcast. hopefully I can keep you around longer than some of the other people that have went through the doors. Apparently I'm hard to work with. No, I'm just, but it's been good. We got to cover a lot of football. We're diving into basketball. East Idaho has been very gracious with their information and letting us know. And I hope we continue that. And, on Twitter, like if you don't already know my Twitter, I mean, come on, people got it, right? No,
totally.
But I'm on there.
182.
Yeah. Just hit me up on it. Put some stuff down. I love having those conversations with people. I like throwing out those bold predictions, and still the bold prediction is 5A girls basketball comes out of East Idaho. That's what I'm going with. And man, the way Madison's playing, it's feeling a lot like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? And
love it.
It'll be exciting. But Joel, I hope you have a great holidays with the family. Keep that piano playing and hit the big wave. Is that what you say? Hit the big wave.
Totally. I hope so. I hope I can even paddle out. But same to you, Sean. It's been a pleasure broadcasting with you so far this calendar year. Football was a blast. Basketball, maybe even a little bit more fun for you and I, since we know a little bit more about basketball. I will say I do less research when we're preparing for these basketball prepcasts than football. But it's been great so far. Let's keep it going. Have a great holiday break. You deserve it, man. And we'll see you in 2025. For Sean Kane, I'm Joel Richardson saying be excellent to each other. Have a happy holidays, and we will see you next time on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.